Hello and welcome to the Summer Solstice 2026. This is the longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, and what a beautiful day it was. I started the day teaching beach yoga on Portmarnock Beach, and it was the most beautiful day that we've had so far this summer. I then raced down to Enniskerry in County Wicklow to Powerscourt Springs to run my first retreat in a couple of years. I used to teach here and run retreats here, so it was a lovely homecoming and we had a beautiful retreat. We were so present and in the moment that we didn't record any footage. Myself and the guests were just purely in the moment. The only thing I did capture was my reuniting with my alpaca buddies, having not seen them in so long. This is Frank and George and Charlie. The feedback I received both during and after retreat just made all of the hard work, all of the preparation, all the worry, all the organization just so worthwhile. It was a really beautiful experience. I hope to do it again. If you're watching this, you're in Ireland, you want to come, you just have to be a member of the community. So I need to meet you at a class. You need to know that I suit your style and I need to meet you. And yeah, I would love to see you there next time. In the meantime, I'm back teaching in Powerscourt Springs. So if you're a guest there, just a regular guest there, a non-retreat guest there, I might see you there. Oh, it was bliss. And we are back to reality. It is now the 2nd of July, so a week or so later. There was nothing really worth vlogging last week, to be honest. It was just a week of teaching. The dog always sighs when I record. Going to class, studying, and no events. Nothing really of note. So I wanted to wait till today, and I have something really important to talk about today, and that is a mid-year reset. So July 1st is like January the 1st. It's like New Year's Day halfway through the year. So on the 30th of June, I kind of, I was getting really excited towards the end of June, once the retreat was done, about starting a fresh new half year. I have some big goals. If you follow me on Instagram, Milestones Mags Yogi, you might have seen me getting up really early to go to an early morning class on the 1st of July, starting as I mean to go on. I showed my new diary and I was saying this half year deserves a new diary. Actually couldn't wait. My old one was beautiful and it was, moons and solar, as well as this one's also moons and solar. But I couldn't wait to just start a fresh new journal. You do not have to wait till January. You don't even have to wait until the 1st of a month or Monday. You can always start something fresh. So I really feel, I know that this next 6 months, now this is a year journal, mid-year diary. I actually bought some of these for some of my retreat guests as well. So the retreat gifts, there was the tote bags and the cork yoga blocks. But for my lovely friends, clients that already had the tote bag and the yoga blocks and everything, I got them this beautiful journal. And I wrote a little message inside. I also had some very personalized things as well in those gift bags. And I don't want to share that too much about that because I've just been copied way too many times. I want to keep this as my original idea. I will say that normally I would get PR brands or PR agencies, brands involved in my goodie bags. And my goodie bags have been in the past retail value about €150. There'd be drinks, there'd be healthy snacks, there would be supplements, there would be facial products, body products, sleep products. Unbelievably generous. Loads of Irish brands, some brands that had barely launched that are big now, like a Nutri and Paws Penny. But since I lost my Instagram and had to start fresh, some brands, none of the ones I've mentioned by the way, have dropped me. Is that a delivery? Not for me. And I just didn't feel like with barely 1,500 followers that I could really give them the marketing kind of exposure that you would normally kind of leverage with. And also, sometimes those goodie bags might attract the wrong type of person or the wrong intention to the retreat. You know, I've had people cancel, and I've hand delivered their goodie bags all over. I've driven all over Dublin delivering goodie bags, and they were nearly getting like over half their value of what they spent back in the goodie bag. And just for so many reasons, I thought, let's make this more personal, more intentional. I have my own branded products now because I lost my Instagram. And then, as I said, for anyone who already had everything, I mean, a beautiful half-year journal that starts a few days after the solstice with a handwritten message. I think that's a good gift. I would love that. And in fact, I bought one for myself. So what we're talking about here is a mid-year reset. Now, I've had online like workshops and things. Haven't had anything online in a while, just because like things have changed, and some people are less inclined to want online things now than we were a few years ago, and I hope to get back to them again. But while I have the studio space in my home, I might as well teach in person, you know? I might not always live somewhere where I have a studio in my house. That's just the reality of it. So while I have it, I might as well. I love it. But the online may come back. So my mid-year reset is not a big online event this year. It's something that I did for myself, but I'm now able to share it with you through the YouTube vlogs. So even if you're seeing this a couple of days into July, it doesn't matter. Just get an evening or a morning, whatever suits you. Block out like 2 hours. Get yourself a motivational or a relaxing playlist. The dog is now snoring. I swear to God she does this on purpose. She's lying here beside me. And reflect on the last 6 months. Celebrate your achievements. Draw a line under your perceived failures or anything that didn't go to plan. And forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for the things that didn't go to plan and that you didn't do at all. I've made myself goals, not for the next 6 months, because I'm a very impatient person. Something that I'm trying to learn is delayed gratification. So the podcast I mentioned in one of my previous vlogs, I was saying, win the morning, win the day. The same podcaster, Beck Stewart, her name is. I think she touched on this a lot, and also heard, wasn't Madonna in a recent interview with Graham Norton saying like, I think she said to Graham Norton, like, if you can't wait for something, like, why are you a teenager? And I just thought, oh, okay. It's something that I'm working on. I always want everything now or everything yesterday. And there are things that I'm working on that are going to take a little bit more time, and trying to trust in divine timing. It's easier said than done, but I do believe in all things divinity. So I am trusting in divine time. It's just a work in progress. I do trust it. So for my own goals, there are things that will take some time, and there's things that are kind of frivolous and things that are very serious. I'm going to share some of them and explain how I'm breaking them down, in the hopes that it will maybe inspire you to take your own mid-year reset, okay? By the way, TK Maxx, Eason's, all the stationery stores like Kenny Shop, they should have these mid-year. We don't have to wait till January anymore, which is great. And also some of them, like this is, it's a year and a half actually. So we'll do you all next year as well. So it's just getting a 6-month head start. The first goal that I want to achieve is passing my reformer exam at the end of the month. Now, I don't know which podcast I heard this on or what book, but they were saying a goal, you have to be careful what you mark as a goal. So like writing down like 5 new clients this month, that's not a goal, because you can't really control that. But what you can control, say for instance, getting 5 new yoga clients. What I could control and what I could have as a goal is ask 5 clients to refer a friend, advertise on Facebook 3 times a week, every week consistently, post educational content once a week, post call to action. You know, it has to be something that you can control. You could do all that and you could get 1 client, you could get 5 clients, you could get 10 clients, you could get no clients. Doesn't mean you failed per se. So these have to be things that I can control. So therefore I have goal, this is actually set out, I'll show you a blank one. goals, and then month focus is just across from goals. So for passing the reformer exam, I have under the focus, I need to study and I need to attend 9 more classes, which is now 8 more classes actually. So 2 down, 8 to go. The next goal I have is to book a holiday. It might necessarily be like something that you would normally put in your goal. Some people just go on holidays every year automatically or every quarter or whatever. My focus for that is to save and to have the financial means to go. And I need to use discipline for that. And I'll talk more about finances in a second. I'm also wanting 2 articles published this month. And my focus there is to write. So if I write, I pitch, I submit or whatever, I may get 2 published, I may not, I may get 0, I might end up getting 4. But I can't control getting the 2 published. They're not my websites. I don't have a blog of my own. So my focus is to write. And that probably needs to have, a more specific number, so many times a week or so many articles. I have already outlined my first article for July, and I wrote my June article on the 30th of June, which means it could be published in July. So I set myself like a challenge of getting something published every month. I didn't do it in June. I didn't sit down at the laptop to write it until the 30th of June. So if it is published in July, well then it becomes one of those 2 articles published in July. And then the second one I have outlined. The way I write is, and by the way, we didn't know this, like I write for Yoga, I've written for Image, I've written for the Irish Times, Quote in the Gloss, other websites and things that are now gone, and guest blog posts, and even with my previous business, which was nothing to do with wellness at all. So I consider myself a little bit of a writer. I'm trying to get comfortable with saying, I write, I'm a writer. It's like saying I run. Oh, not really a runner. If you run, you're a runner. So the goal there is 2 articles published this month. And there's a longer goal attached to that. But all I can control is 1 month at a time. And trust in the baby steps and the divine timing and the stepping stones and all that. Then I have that I want to get through 2 braces in July, brace number 5 and brace number 6. So I'm talking about Invisalign style braces. I'm very bad at wearing my braces. I spent an absolute fortune on Invisalign about 10 years ago. It must be 10 years ago now. Never wore my retainer. Just thought because I had a brace at the back of my teeth, the metal chain, that was going to do me. It did not do me. My teeth moved. Every time I went to a dentist, they'd say, by the way, your teeth are moving. I'd be like, yeah. And then one day last year, I realised they have moved a lot. They'll never be as bad as they were. They'll never be as overcrowded as they were because I got the sides filed down for the first Invisaligns. But I did like the online, they're not called Invisalign, I did the online option of getting braces through the post, and only the top set fit me. The bottom sets don't fit me. So I've messed up somewhere in making a mold of my bottom teeth, and I didn't bother going back to them because I had signed and said, I'm in agreement with this is the mold, etc. So I can't do anything about my bottom teeth at the minute, but I'm going to persevere with the top. So in order to get brace 5 and 6 done in July, I have to wear the damn thing. If I don't wear it, I wear it overnight, about after my dinner if I'm not teaching. So I could be wearing it for like 12 hours a day. You're supposed to wear it more than that, but I just can't manage this. This is the best I can do. So by being consistent, I'll get through 5 and 6 this month. And that's that goal. Another goal, which is kind of a little bit of a frivolous one really, compared to the financial one, which I'm going to discuss last, is to grow my nails. I'm in this endless cycle of getting shellac, having beautiful nails. When I have shellac, I don't bite my nails. I don't go near my cuticles. They grow long. Then I get the shellac off and my nails just break. They just fold over like paper. They're gone. And then when I've no varnish on or no shellac on, I will start to nibble and break my nails and worry out my nails, which is a horrible, horrible habit. And no matter how much I break it or I'm off it for a while, I always seem to go back to it. I think we all have some kind of, a lot of us have some, one, two kind of nervous things. I see it in other people, and that's mine. So in order to grow my nails, and also I begrudge, I paid €15 to get shellac removed a couple of weeks ago. And like, nobody's soaking them off anymore. They're using the instrument. €15, and I was just like, I'm done with this. I want my own natural nails to be healthy looking. Not necessarily like talon length, but just healthy length, and don't want my cuticles to be absolutely disgusting. So to grow my nails, I have to have a routine of using my cuticle oil at night, hand cream, and then I bought a Sally Henson hard as nails serum. Yes, I'm going to use that twice a day, and I need to leave them the feck alone. And finally is the big financial goal. So let's talk finance for a second here. I'm not an expert, I'm not a financial expert, but I've learned a few things, especially in the last few years. I've actually impressed myself what I've learned. If you have goals, financial goals, and I'm sure you do, for me, and maybe for you, breaking them down by the month is not enough. So for instance, if your financial goal is to save, I'm just going to pick some figures out there, okay? If your financial goal is to save €300 a month, on payday you put €300 aside and you think, great, I've done that. Then you feel kind of, for the whole month, then you feel like it's moving too slow. This is what I'm talking about, impatience. You've done the job, you've ticked it off. Two things could happen. One is that you might dip into it and then say, I'll put that back. Dip in, put it back. The other thing that could happen, like I said, is that you feel I could be doing more, but you don't want to save, you don't want to oversave because then you leave yourself short. But you're frustrated that you have to wait another month. Now this is assuming that you're paid by the month. You might be paid by the week or the fortnight, but usually it's when people get paid. As a self-employed person, I get paid by basically almost every day a payment comes in, but the payment could be €15. A payment could be a couple of €100. It just depends. I've got clients that I would invoice once a month. I would have people buying drop-ins for like beach yoga. If somebody bought drop-in one day and that was the only sale, the next day it'd come through Stripe. So my money comes in dribs and drabs, which has advantages and disadvantages. So what I would suggest that you do is, if you're like me, is that instead of saving the €30 a month, that you save €10 a day. And that way, psychologically, you always feel like you're doing something for yourself. It's not a big lump out of your money where you're going to be putting it back, taking it in and putting it back. Just say it's 600, that's 20 a day. And then the challenge is, and it's nice to have a little challenge to chip away at every day that's doable, where you might think to yourself, okay, I'm not going to have another coffee, or I'm not going to get a takeaway coffee when I can just take one with me. You have a nice cup, of a cup here holding the phone. Or, you know, frivolous little things. The coffee is such a classic example, and I do want to keep all the independent coffee places alive. I do. For me, it used to be buying magazines. There's all sorts of little things, you know, trip into pennies or whatever. So you set yourself that challenge, 10 a day, 20 a day or whatever, and it's no problem. It should be no problem. If there's days where it's a problem, then your challenge is, okay, how can I earn extra today? Can I put something on Vinted? And you just kind of make it more fun for yourself. Now, if it's a debt that you're paying, whether it's your mortgage, your car loan, a credit card, any sort of debt, you want to get that gone as soon as possible. Yeah, I think we're agreed on that. We all kind of accept that the mortgage is an acceptable debt. But if you actually look into your interest and everything on it, it can be quite shocking. So interest is calculated by the day. So if you have an opportunity to pay your mortgage, your car loan, whatever debts you own, outside of a monthly payment, then you should definitely take it, or you should ask for it, because the financial institutions are not going to be forthcoming with that. Interest is charged by the day. So when you make a monthly payment or whatever, the first chunk of that goes on your interest. So what's the rest of the balance called? I can't think of the right word, but that'll go down pretty slowly depending on your interest. And even if the interest is relatively low, it still adds up. So what I'm doing at the moment is, for my financial goal, whether it is the saving thing or whether it is the reducing the debt, is that I'm doing it by the day. So you probably guessed that by now, but I am doing it by the day. And that way the interest on a debt is more than cleared, which means that the monthly payment, which is set up, direct debit, standing order, whatever, comes off the total balance. And by doing it daily and by doing it in like tiny little amounts, it just feels like I'm always making progress. Every single day I'm making progress towards my goals, my bigger dreams, without sacrificing too much or feeling like, oh, I've left myself with nothing for the month. Some days it's just the bare minimum. Some days it's a little extra. If I'm having a good financial day, it might be a bit extra, and instead of begrudging that, I feel proud. It's just completely flipped the way that I think about money, finances and goals. And also, instead of begrudging paying your bills, which I did for years, now I feel like quite proud, especially as a self-employed person. I feel quite proud when the end of the month comes. I take out my spreadsheet, I pay, sometimes I even pay them before they're issued, preempt them, and plan it all out. The ones that I split up a little bit, like a huge gas bill in the winter, like I'd split that up. They mightn't like that, but I'll split that up a little bit to make it more palatable for myself. And I just find that my relationship with money has much improved. I used to be, payday to payday, month to month, no matter, I used to even get migraines at one stage because I'd run out of money before the end of the month. And I found that no matter how much I earned, I'd spend the same amount. So I had to rethink my entire relationship with money. And, I read a lot of books and a lot of courses, a lot of podcasts, as I mentioned. And you really do have to think about the stories that you took on from your parents or from your household between the ages of 0 and 7. So for me, it was 80s, Dublin, lots of siblings. Money doesn't grow on trees. I don't have a cow out the back. Get your job for life, get your pension, stay in the one place forever. I have to unlearn all of that. Money is energy. There's no shortage of abundance in this world. You only have to look at nature for proof of that. You think about even the blackberries in autumn, how many blackberries are around where I live alone? Hundreds of thousands. How many stars in the sky? How many grains of sand on one beach? How many leaves? Nature, and therefore the universe, and therefore us, is fully abundance. There is no lack mentality. The universe is not on a budget. Now, I'm not saying go into debt or do reckless things, but I am saying if you were like the way I was, with such a bad relationship with money, me burning a hole in my pocket, I feel obliged to spend it, then it might be something to work on for yourself over this next 6 months, seeing this start of a new period. I don't make huge amounts of money. I certainly didn't have trust fund or whatever the Irish version of that is, or given a deposit or sent to college paid for. No, nothing like that. So we are fully, everything we have worked for. The house, the car, the holidays, all the courses, the education, everything from my laptop to, I don't know, what do I actually have? I consider my greatest asset to be my brain, not even my body. It's great my body can move and I can teach and demo, and I'm so grateful that I have a functional body, but my brain is my greatest asset, outside of my soul, of course. And I would argue that yours is too. So please remember, if you're resetting for this new half year, the universe is not in a budget. Set your goals. Remember, you have to be able to control the goals in some way, shape, or form. Break them down into each month, what you're actually doing, what tiny little thing do you do every day to achieve that goal, whether it's putting on the cuticle oil, to writing an article, to putting €10 off your car loan, whatever it is. Break it down to daily. So every day you feel like you are moving forward. Otherwise, you're like, write this down. You might look at it in a month's time and go, oh shit, yeah, I didn't, whatever. It has to be, I think for a lot of us, it has to be a small little daily thing, not a massive routine that's going to take hours or anything like that. I'm talking like, it takes me three minutes to make that phone call to move that money daily, and I feel so good. I do my Duolingo, which takes another 5 minutes. I'm using the serum on my cuticles. You're talking 5 minutes max here. So just small things to move the needle. And those things compound the exact same way the interest compounds. Those things will compound over the 6 months. In 6 months' time, I'm going to be in a different place than I am today with long nails. The long nails, as I said, are just a very frivolous small little thing. That's not where I'm going with this. I have huge goals, overwhelming, scary goals. And the other thing about scary goals is that you need to normalize. So we can have a conversation about manifestation again. I'd love to have deep conversation with manifestation. But what I've learned about manifestation is you need to normalize what you want to manifest. If it is way up on a pedestal and it's so far above you, not only are you not going, highly unlikely to get there, sorry, the chair is creaking, your nervous system won't let you get there. You will self-sabotage because it doesn't feel safe. I've done this. I've self-sabotaged myself numerous times. And what I've been doing to try and get over that is to have a conversation with myself where I say, I'm scared, I'm nervous, I'm this, I'm that. And I say to myself, okay, what if I choose not to be? This is something that's come up for me a couple of times in a couple of different scenarios where I think, oh, I'm X, Y, and Z. And I'm thinking, hold on, who has control over the thoughts here? Me. What if I choose to be excited, or choose to be calm, or just choose not to go down this mental road again, or that train of thought? But we'll talk about manifestation again. But if you have big goals, break them down. Gotta normalize them, take them off that pedestal. Whether it's a handbag, a Gucci handbag, a promotion, a BMW. You gotta bring it down. As you rise up your vibration, you gotta bring that thing down a little bit. Normalize it, because nothing in this world is glamorous. No industry is glamorous, nothing is glamorous. It's only ever the finished product that's glamorous. So I'm going to leave it there. I've been talking for nearly 30 minutes about this reset. If you made it to the end, I appreciate you so much. Please comment. Let me know you're here. Let me know you listened. Let me know if you are going to have a little mid-year reset for yourself, what you're going to do. I'd love to hear. See you in the next vlog.